Compare and contrast teenage eras. Introduction. My name is Spencer Orr. The colony I researched is New Hampshire. I picked my grandma for my relative to interview and research. My grandma's name is Susie Simpson. She was a teenager in Ainsworth, Iowa between 1959 and 1965. My colony's teenage years are between 1623 and 1629. The New Hampshire colony was founded by John Wheelwright in honor of Captain John Mason, the discoverer of New Hampshire colony in 1623. I am a teenager for the years between 2010 and 2016. Historical facts and geographical characteristics/location. The location of the Puritan settlement is in northern New Hampshire. They lived in the White Mountains and endured harsh winters and moderate summers. My grandma grew up in southeast Iowa. She lived in a town called Ainsworth. Ainsworth is completely surrounded by farmland. Southeast Iowa has moderate winters and harsh summers. I am growing up in northern Iowa. I live in Clear Lake, which is just south of the Minnesota border. We have harsh winters and primarily warm summers where we live. We are completely surrounded by farmland. Chores. The colonial teens had to take care of the garden, do the dishes, feed the chickens, knit, sew, make candles, and make soap. Once dinner was over, the young boys that went to school were required to teach their mothers what they had learned at school that day, because women weren't allowed at school. My grandma had many chores as a teen. She had to wash the floors, do the dishes, wash the car, maintain the garden, do the laundry, mow the lawn, take care of her horse, and do the dusting around the house. My daily chores include feeding the dog and cat, along with cleaning up after them, keeping my room clean, dishes, laundry, taking out the garbage every Wednesday, and taking care of the horses at the barn. Economy/parents' income. In 1623 through the 1629, the men worked in the lumber mills, the trading business, hunting, and fishing. Many products that got produced in New Hampshire were sent back to England. When my grandma was in middle school, her dad owned a car garage and was a mechanic. My great-grandmother was a stay-at-home mom for many years, but then kept track of the bookwork for my great-grandfather's garage. Both of my parents work for Mason City. My dad is a firefighter and paramedic for the Mason City Fire Department. And my mom is a crime scene investigator. My mom also has a side business of photography. She takes senior pictures, weddings, and any other family gatherings. Transportation. The main source of transportation in the New Hampshire colony was canoe and horseback. They also walked and used the horse and buggy method of transportation. My grandma said that her number one source of transportation was her bicycle, but she also walked. Her family owned two vehicles. They owned an old farm truck and a push-button style Nash Rambler. Today, our main source of transportation is our two trucks. We own a Toyota Tundra and a Dodge Ram. We also ride bicycles or our horses for short distances if it is possible. Food. In the colonial era, they mostly ate wild game. Deer, turkey, moose, fox, wolf, and more was their main supply of meat. They also ate vegetables from their garden, such as corns, beans, squash, and carrots. They also gathered nuts and berries for their desserts. Bread puddings, plums, and boiled breads are also some of their favorite desserts. My grandma always had a balanced meal on the table. They had meat, bread, milk, vegetables, and usually fruit for dessert. For dessert, they sometimes had yogurt or pudding with their fruit. Around the holidays, there was always cookies and homemade candies in the house. In my family, we eat all different origins of food. Pizza, pasta, tacos, Chinese, and especially the classic cheeseburger are just a few examples. For desserts, we like to eat cakes, cookies, pies, and ice cream. Religion. In school, the kids learned about the Puritan beliefs. They were all Puritans. Children learned to read using the Bible. Church was held in meeting houses, and church lasted all day. The church is called the Evangelical Church, which means the Church of New England. My grandma was required to go to her Christian church every Sunday for Sunday school. She said that her parents usually didn't attend church unless it was a holiday, especially Christmas. My family attends the Grace Lutheran Church in Hammontown. We attend church most Sundays along with Sunday school. I am also involved in confirmation classes, which are held every Wednesday. Music/entertainment. The colonists mainly listened to their church hymns. They also picked up many tunes from the Native Americans. The best source of entertainment for the colonists, besides church, was the town parks where cattle would graze, women would gossip, and men would make business deals. Kids played tag, hopscotch, marbles, and hide and seek. When my grandma was 18, she said she really enjoyed listening to the big bands, Buddy Holly especially. For one of her birthdays, she received a Buddy Holly record, which she said was her favorite present from that year. Grandma Susie liked to go to school dances after most sporting events. She also said that almost every Sunday night her family would go for a drive, and when they got back, they would play games such as Sorry or Yahtzee. Some of my favorite music is country. I enjoy listening to artists like Carrie Underwood, Kenny Chesney, Adele, the band Perry, George Strait, Brad Paisley, Sugarland, Lady Antebellum, Steel Magnolia, and many others. My entertainment today consists of horse shows, 4-H, Boy Scouts, sports, parties, camping, hunting, and fishing. Electronics are a big source of entertainment today, such as TVs, phones, iPads, radios, Xbox, Wii, PlayStation, and iPods. Schools. Children of our age in the 13 colony area learned math, Latin, and the Puritan beliefs while in school. Wealthy families sent their sons back to finishing school in England. My grandma went to school in an old brick schoolhouse in Ainsworth, Iowa. She walked to the school, which was built in the early 1900s. In my grandma's class, there was 16 to 20 classmates, up until her senior year when they joined Riverside, Iowa. Once they joined schools in her senior year, she had around 60 graduating classmates. I go to school in Clear Lake, Iowa. We have 8 classes in one day, with our usual 110 classmates. One thing we have today is the right to chew gum and access to loads of new and free technology. Change. The biggest change for the teens of the colonial New Hampshire era was to adapt to the Puritan ways once they got off of the ships that sent them here from England. They endured many hardships on the boats on their way to America, and even more when they got here. The greatest change my grandma experienced was the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Within the same year, her grandfather, who my grandma was very close to, passed away. She remembers spending many hours in her living room with her family through their tough times. The biggest change my family and I have gone through in my teen years is the war with Iraq and horse ownership. We are spending a lot of time and money with the horses and have made it part of our daily and weekly activities. We have never experienced this before, and it is something that takes some adapting to. Conclusion. Conclusion. Many things have changed over the range of about 400 years. There are multiple good and bad happenings in each area that I researched. Thank you for watching my presentation.